Love is in the air, everywhere I look around. Love is in the air, every sight and every sound.
Lovebugs are not the consequence of genetic engineering. They are a normal species, but they are an introduced species. Right? So before human activities, or at least European human activities, they weren't in the US, but at some point they were moved to the US and now they are here. And they were first described as a species in eastern Texas in 1940. And then since then they've been moving east, and they were all throughout Florida by the 1970s. So most people notice lovebugs as an adult stage. And so in spring, May and April, and in fall, August and September, the adults come out and they mate. So that's when they're out mating, and that's when we see them. But the whole rest of the year, they're still there, but they live in the soil. So the juveniles, the larvae, live in the ground and in leaf litter and decompose organic matter. So they're there all year, but they emerge in big groups to mate only in the spring and in the fall. So in that way, they kind of mark the changes of the season. As far as a non-native species go, they're really not causing much problems, other than people sometimes find them annoying. But otherwise, they are actually serving some ecological functions. And there's two main functions they can serve. One is decomposition. So they live in the ground eating vegetative matter. So basically that means they're taking dead leaves and plant matter and converting it over time into soil, which is a very important ecological process. And the other thing they do as adults is they also pollinate, because as adults they're flying around and they feed on pollen and nectar. So in the process they pollinate some plants as well. For some weird fluke, car exhaust, when it interacts with UV light, creates the smell that females actually find attractive. And so when they're in their big mating swarms, especially early in the day and late in the day, they actually can be more common around roads, which is one reason why they can be just splattering all over cars sometimes, to the extent where sometimes they can even clog radiators and stuff like that. As adults, lovebugs live only a few weeks. So when they emerge from the ground, they emerge and they mate, and they'll normally die within a week or so. But they have 2 generations per year. So when the adults mate and then lay eggs in the spring, those will develop in the ground and then emerge in the fall. So their lifespan is roughly 6 months. You know, they lay eggs in either the spring and fall, and then emerge in the next spring or fall. So I know a lot of people find lovebugs kind of icky or annoying in some way, but I think it's important to realize that they're not going away. They're here to stay, and they live in and around the environments we create. They do really well in pastures and in lawns and irrigated areas. So we've created lots of environments that are great for them. So they're really like a human-associated species now. So we're stuck with them, for better or worse. But they're not a bad species to have around. They serve some functions, and they don't really harm us in any way. They don't bite, they don't sting, they're not poisonous. And I think it's important just to realize that they're a species we live with and come to appreciate them. And trying to get rid of them is just a bad idea. Spraying insecticides is just going to have a negative impact on all sorts of other things, and important to just see them as a potentially beautiful sign of the changing seasons, and maybe take a moment to take a close look at them and appreciate their big bulbous eyes.